Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Pretty Rich Teacher podcast. I am so excited to chat with you all today. I have a guest that I'm going to introduce who just entered the Pretty Rich Teacher community. And what I mean by that, of being in the mindset and the strategy and the work of being a pretty rich teacher. Now, before I introduce Caylin, I want you all to know she is someone who went through my new edition of the DIY exit plan. So if you are someone who is a DIY girly and you're like, I just need the exact steps to be able to create my exit plan, Kaylin is proof that you can do this. And we're going to talk about the mindset, the strategy, all of her thought process that led her to this day. And we're going to talk about what role she has. I'm like, I didn't even know she got that type of role. I was like, okay, girl. So, Kaylin, say hello.
Hello, everyone. I am Kay. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me, Jazmyne. I appreciate
No
it.
problem. So, I'm just going to get straight into it. Um,
Okay.
just for y'all listening, she now has a big girl job working in EdTech, right?
Yes, EdTech.
Yes. Yeah, so okay, so just so y'all know, this is DIY. Like, me and Kaylin have not talked much. She's been doing the action. Let's start by tell us a little bit about who you are, what made you get into education, maybe how long, and then what was your main reason why of, "Oh, it's time for me to go."
Yeah, of course. I got into education around COVID. So, I've been eighth grade science for the last 6 years. I've always been in middle school, secondary. Going in, I loved it, enjoyed it. I always knew I wanted to do something, obviously, to make an impact with kids or, the youth or just people in general. But as the years went on and on, I am a single mom. So I just feel like I was losing a lot of that time for my child. So I really wanted that back. She'll be 8 this year, so I think it kinda hit me one day when I was in class, and I was like, "Wait, like, in 8 years, my child will be driving, and I don't wanna look up and be like, 'Gosh, where'd the time go?'" It was more so, for my personal, well-being and just for the betterment of me and my child, and yeah, so that's kinda where I am now.
Love it, I feel like a lot of women, especially single moms, can relate to, like, it's one thing to be the single mom and like, okay, it's like, but it's another thing like, oh no, like because I am a single mom, I am going to
Oh,
ensure I am
yeah.
there to thrive for my child. And you did your daughter, right?
Yes.
More and even more important, we want the
Right.
girls to look to their mom and be like, "Oh, my mom did everything she said
Yes.
she to do, and it'll only just get passed down." So, tell
Right.
me about your journey out. How long have you been actually looking to leave out of the classroom? What was your journey before you even said, "Okay, let me actually invest in something to get me this work?" What were you doing before?
Yeah. So, um, I am from Mobile, so we are the home of Mardi Gras. So it's actually Mardi Gras break, and I was just kind of like thinking, like, gosh, like I just remember me and my daughter being at a parade, and we're just having so much fun, and all the things, and I was just like, gosh, I don't really get to see these moments all the time, so it kind of messed with me a little bit because I was like, I want more, obviously, one-on-one time with her. So I think when I got in the mindset of like I can do what I want to do. I think the biggest thing in my way was myself. Like I was in my own way. I think sometimes we get so complacent in where we are. Just trying to switch my mindset. But once I switch my mindset of like, okay, I can do bigger and better for myself and still be making an impact as well as spending time with my child, I think that's kind of when it really hit me.
Yeah. And then what did you start doing to actually, like, leave the classroom? Like, is
So
that
I think, yeah, I
mind
think
mhm.
Yeah, I think mentally, I just kinda started, like, researching, kinda seeing, like, if there was other teachers leaving the classroom. I think sometimes we get that guilt of, like, not wanting to leave the classroom because it's like, "This is your job, you're supposed to be committed to these students," but any of my students will tell you I'm very big on mental health, so at the end of the day, I would always tell them, like, "You always have to do what's best for you." and some things you don't understand in the moment, but you still have to do what's best for you. So I was very big about that, but I think I started to get burnout. And when I got my burnout, that's when I was like, okay, yeah, I gotta find an exit plan. I gotta make something's gotta shake. Like I've been in education for 6 years and I took off more this year than I have in 6 years. And that was like eye opener to me because I was just drained. I was tired. So yeah.
Yeah, and what were you doing? So, like, did you just start? Because I think every teacher starts on a void of like, how do I leave the classroom? And I like that you said a couple of things I heard you say. Like, one, I feel like, wait, can you mute while we're talking for the feedback?
You're kind of muffled a bit now.
Uh, I'm gonna unmute you back because I don't know if it's my background, but either way, I'm gonna mute and unmute so we can hear clear. I want y'all to hear us, okay? Look at us working in tech, making it work. But I think one of the things that you said, like maybe you don't understand. I think you said, and maybe I need you to say it again. Like the main thing that I heard though is like we as teachers can pour into our students, and whenever a student is going through it and going through a challenge, we're able to like see beyond it and be able to talk to them very nice. But I feel like sometimes the teachers, when it comes to them kind of being a student to this new journey, they get in their head and they're doing everything but what they do to help students move. Do you get what I'm saying? Can you talk a little bit again about that? Because I think that is important for the teacher girlies to hear. Even in my programs, I have to remind my clients all the time that they're brilliant. Like we sometimes, I think also what happens when emotions are high, when you are burnt out, intelligence is actually lower. Not saying that you're not smart, but it's neuroscience. If you are in fight or flight, your logical brain is not there. Like it's only one. You're either fight or flight or the brain is there asking questions. And whenever we're so like scared of, I don't know if I want to leave, I don't know, or even the pressure of, oh, we're supposed to stay in education all these years. And it's like, who said that? Like, I want to start, who said, I don't know if y'all watch Housewives of Atlanta. I'm like, who said that? Who said that? That we got to stay in this classroom for all these years? Who said that? But you have the ability to leave. And I like that you said, are other teachers leaving? There are lots of teachers leaving. Hey, y'all want to scroll down this podcast? There are so many people who have left. So it's not even a thing of, is it true? Like, it's just, are you going to allow it to be true for yourself? I'll let you um, talk to that.
Yeah, so I will say like I've only been within 2 districts like since I've been teaching, but I've always been the youngest like in the school that I've worked in. And I think just like coming in, I was so like bubbly and I wanted to make all these changes and all these things and which I've done, which was great. But I think also too like you get to see the teachers that have been there so long, like the vet teachers, and it's just kind of like I didn't want to get stuck. Um and I say that in the most respectful way because even like my pod, they were like great. I loved working with my team. They were amazing. But even they were like, Davis, you're so bright. Like you got to get out. We don't want you here. Like they were like encouraging me. And I think that was a big thing too of like, well, what if I get out and I don't succeed? It was kind of one of those things where you get so complacent in what you're doing that you like kind of start doubting yourself. And like you said, we speak so much life into the kids and we encourage them to do all these great things. But it's like, you gotta speak that life into yourself sometimes too. So I think when I got back to that mindset of like, wait, I am that girl and I can do this, like, Imma make it happen. So it's kinda like what I was already enforcing in my students and that I enforce in my child every day, I was not enforcing in myself. So I think once I realized like, okay, I can still do this, it made all the world's difference. So like I said, sometimes we're our biggest critics and our biggest roadblocks. And I think just getting past that is what really opens that door.
I think it's more than sometimes. I think being a high achieving woman, we are always going to be our biggest critic. And I think that's good. And I don't like to use the word always or absolutes, but it is true. And it's about like that is where I talk of this all the time. The mind makes the money. And I love that you said you are big in mental health. It is not a luxury to really ensure you are prioritizing your mental health. It is a necessity. your mental health is just as important as your physical health. And a part of the mental health is a lot of an internal battles that we as women put on ourselves. And again, I think to what you said about teachers should stay in the classroom, all like stay there, which I always compare teaching to an abusive relationship, but I won't go down that road today. But that's one thing. Then it's two of like most of educators are women, and women naturally are more resilient and stronger than men. Fight me, I don't care. They are mentally tougher. But the thing is, just because we can handle a lot doesn't mean we should continue doing that. So if you're listening to this and you're resonating, I don't want you to feel any shame of you realizing that you may be in your own way because maybe because I'm also still going through this. Like as a high achiever, you're going to find new challenges all the time. You don't just I think high achievers it's kind of like a not in a bad way, but it's like an addiction. And like you're just looking for your next fix. You're looking like, and I'm sure, Kayla, I'm gonna ask her after what are you working towards now, but you're gonna be working. No one, there is not one high achiever girlie that I know who is like, yep, I reached my goals, now I'm done. You're going to find something else. Even if it's a purse, even if it's a trip, you're working towards something else. And what's always going to be between you and the thing you want is not only time and money, but it's you. Coming from someone who makes even like I make more most money I've ever made in my life, and money only solved my money problems. I think once I stopped worrying about money and I got out of that survival mode, then I started learning more things about myself. Like, oh, okay, maybe I don't trust myself as much as I thought I did. Like, I'm confident on the outside, and I am, but realizing that the high achiever, we just are people who are going to be hard on ourselves because we're used to the world being hard on ourselves on us, and we have the ability to be nicer to ourselves. We have the ability to remember, oh, wait, I'm brilliant. Oh, wait, I coach people through hard things all the time. I always use the example of like a kindergarten student learning how to read a chapter book. That is what it's like leaving the classroom. It's like it's something you've not done before, but you can do it. Like, don't be like, why can't I read this chapter book? Why can't I? It's like, no, let's learn our letters. Let's learn our sounds. Let's do our sight words. And I don't mean to say it in a mean way of like belittling. It's like, but we want to be able to learn how to become a beginner in the process. Um, so I want you to share your thoughts on that, and then tell me like what were the tangible action steps that you were taking to actually like start landing interviews, and then like, what was when you're a moment of like, okay, I need some more support because I'm leaving this classroom, but it's like more like how I'm going to be able to do this. Yeah, you go ahead.
Yeah, so like I said, kind of around February, like towards the end of January, February, and I bought the course in February. So I bought it in February. I worked through it, like I was like knocking it out, like, like overachiever. I was like, okay, highlighting, done, done, like during my planning period, I'm like pulling it out. I like printed it all out. I'm putting it, in a binder, like making sure I check everything and just kind of going through that. And then I started like, doing all the stuff you said, as far as like the LinkedIn, because like LinkedIn was new to me. Of course, I know about LinkedIn, but it's like, as far as the ins and outs, I didn't really know much about ins and outs. I was like, okay, this is kind of like where the big people are. I need to be on here. I need to show my presence. So trying to do my LinkedIn and just adding all my stuff into that. And then that's when I started figuring out what route I want to go. I know I still kind of want to deal with people because I am big on relationships. So I think that's what really drew me to customer success. So once I started figuring out what I wanted to do for as ed tech roles, that's when I then was like, okay, let me start applying. But I think I got stuck kind of in the middle because I think the biggest thing that got me was my resume. Because, like you said, it's so hard to kind of tailor it to anything besides what you've already been doing for so many years. But I guess the main thing is knowing that like there are a lot of transferable skills as a teacher walking into corporate. So like even now, like in my new role, true enough, the lingo is different, but I'm like, oh, I already do that. I've already done that. Like it's literally the same thing, just different different lingo. Like you're just learning it in a different way. So that's made me feel comfortable along this journey. But I think also too, even in the DIY course, like you prepped it in a way where it's like you could do it on your own time. So it's like if I didn't have so many hours to invest one day, I could double up on the next day and just like dig deeper and deeper. So I think not really knowing much about ed tech walking into this besides it was like educational technology and just like working for a platform essentially and then leaving it knowing so much. I just felt like I had like a book in my hands that I could refer to. So yeah.
Yeah, and inside of the, course, it's like I literally design it to create your exit plan. Like, I mean, and I want you to kind of share, like, the biggest takeaways that you learned from it, but, like, my goal was, like you said, it's DIY in there, but I'm breaking it down, like, step by step. Like, number 1, what is blocking you from leaving? Like, everyone's worried about layoffs. What is corporate actually? Is there healthcare? Is there retirement? Like I get all those answers out and tangible so that you can be like, okay, now I know it's safe for me to leave. Now it's like, okay, what job do I want to go into? What exactly? And again, even in the resume, I give you like prompts to tweak your resume towards the role. But yeah, tell me some things that you so basically, I think did you start when you got the courses when you really was like, okay, I'm doing it? Um, Tell me.
Yeah, so I like started kind of I think you came across my TikTok and I was like, "Oh, okay, like what's like ed tech?" I know you said something about like, "Oh, if you want to leave the classroom." I'm like, "Yes, I do." Like, hold on, let me watch these videos, see what's up. So, I was watching your videos, and then before I actually even bought your course, I kind of just like for a week was just like watching videos, and then I saw as you came off, it's just like more and more people like, "Oh, okay, like more and more people are leaving the classroom." So I was like, "Wait, okay, maybe I can really do this." So I will say, like, the day that I bought your course, I was very intentional with my day. I remember like I took off work. I didn't go to work. I took my daughter to school that morning. I went and got me a matcha from Starbucks. I drove to like her new school to see like how it would be for me drop. I was just very intentional about my day. Like I journaled to God, like, hey, I'm ready. Like, I'm not gonna move until you tell me to move, but like I'm ready. All the things. So I was just very intentional about my whole day. And then that night I bought the course. And then I was just like moving through the course. So I think it was just, like I said, once again, one of those mind shift things. But I started literally like after that week of me kind of just doing my own pre research. And then I was like, yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and buy it. And like you said, as a teacher, we always say we don't have money, but I'm a firm believer in like I will always invest in myself. That's just me though. So I'm gonna always invest in myself because I feel like that's my future and what I want to do. So I knew at the time I couldn't get the big course, but I was like, I can at least get the baby steps out the way. And then when I'm ready, then I'll be ready to, get the big one. But, it worked out once again in God's favor. So it all was good.
Yeah, and tell me, what were some biggest thing that you learned in the course that was like, oh, because there are, believe it or not, people who are out here. I call it in the wild. Like there are teachers who are out here in the wild, and I see them on LinkedIn all the time, and it that's why I do what I do. And then so out in the wild, and what I mean by that is they're like, okay, I went to the classroom, and there's like, okay, what jobs do I apply for? Applying for jobs with teacher resume. Why am I not getting interviews? Why am I not getting hired? And I'm just like, girl, that's not even like in a loving way. It only pulls my hair out because this is literally what I do. Like I still work in corporate. It's more my contract, but I was like, when I realized one, there was not anything like this for me when I left. Like it was like me piecing it together. There was nothing. Like literally there was nothing. It was just videos of people talking. And I'm like, I hear y'all talking, but how you actually get this job? And I had to go and I went to go ask people. I got my corporate mentors. Even when I got my first job, I then hired a career coach to like, I'm the same thing with you of investing in myself. I didn't look at it as, oh, I'm paying for something. I'm like, oh no, I don't like to struggle. I personally don't. I don't like to struggle, and I don't think you like to struggle, and I don't think and maybe there are people I tell my dad, he likes to always have a problem, but some people are addicted to struggle. I'm not. I like to have solutions, and I like to have money, and I like to be able to continue checking off my high achiever things. I have other things to check off the list. But I guess I wanna be able to another thought, this is my ADHD, y'all. I have lots of ideas, so Caylin, just bear with me, and then I'm gonna have you respond to what comes up. But I've also had, clients, like friends in real life who know me and they're like, okay, I want to work with you. And I was like, if you want to work with me, you got to pay the price. And I'm not saying it in a mean way. It's like, I do feel like whenever you invest, it is an exchange to go, okay, I paid one, when you put money out, it's like, oh no, I'm doing this course. I'm doing this versus like free information. Like, yes, I think people value free, but if you're someone who like only values free, like you're not, and I mean this in the most loving way, you're not going to be someone who's going to sustain six figures. Because if you don't know how you got to an 100K job, you don't know how to keep it. So it's like, and if you are not someone who is willing to invest anything, you are not people are not gonna want to invest in you because like that's and this is advanced. Whenever people ask, like, "Oh, how do I get a high salary?" You gotta tell them exactly why you are. Like, I can go in any interview and say this is exactly like so that's the part of it. But investing feels unsafe for teachers, I feel, because like the thought is, "Oh, I don't have the money. I don't have the money." And I always also say, like, how long do you want that to be your story if I don't have the money? Like, how long do we want to do that? But, like, when you make that investment, it's you. It's I don't wanna sound like woo, like, "Oh, it's an energy exchange," but it really is. If I pay money and I pay a lot more money for programs, I'm like, "Oh, I'm all these videos, like, how I love that you romanticize it too. You're like, "Oh, I'm gonna get matcha." Like me, I literally put on when I join a program, I watch all the videos. I don't listen. I'm like, "I need to know everything," and then I backward design, and then I like to join programs that have questions, and I'm like the first one in there, like coaching, I have questions. But I romanticize it as well. I put it on my TV, I got some wine, and I'm just taking notes in my little journal, and then the next day I'm working. But tell me what thoughts come up from all the things I just yapped about.
Yeah, so I'll definitely say, like, you have to, romanticize the life that you want. I think that's part of the journey, like, saying, like, "Oh, I can do this," and I think also too, like, being another Black woman and seeing another Black woman step out, I was like, "Okay, like, I see another sister doing this, I can do it too." You know what I'm saying? Like, it kinda gives you that motivation that you kinda need, and like I said, always been very, like, outgoing, like, very entrepreneur heart, like, all the things, and, like, my thing is I have businesses, and I've done that while being in the classroom, so it's like, now that I'm out the classroom, it's like, I actually have time to tend to my other things, you know what I'm saying? So, it just kinda makes it was just like a full swing for me, I guess, just being able to really romanticize what written on paper right now, seeing it like kind of play out. I'm like, oh, okay, like I did do this, I did put in the work, I was obedient by God, I did do the thing. So now it's like just seeing it all unfold is kind of like surreal, you know? Um, and like even I made a month last week and it's like I took myself out. Like just myself. Like I just wanted to go eat by myself. I went to a very nice restaurant downtown. I ate, I got a three-course meal, I got a creme brulee, I got all the things. And I was just like, okay, happy 1 month of corporate, like what's next? And that's my thing. Now I'm like, okay, what's next? You know, so I think like you said, just kind of keeping in your mind the checklist of like what can I do next or what do I want to do next? And just knowing that like you are capable of doing it. It's just more so of like putting your head in the dirt and making it happen, like, just going after it. So I think your DIY has really helped, and it also helps, I think, like I said, I'm big on mental health, so it helps with the mental of, like, being able to write yourself a letter and, like, get through that burnout. Because I think a lot of times we don't realize we're burnt out because we're so used to just going through the motion, you know? Um and I will say, like, even when I got this job, like I said, I got hired. My kids finished school May 22nd. I got a call that same day when I was walking back from crossover to my classroom. And it was like, oh, May 22nd. And then I started like 2 weeks after. So it's like I didn't really get a downtime, which is fine. Like I said, because I've still been able to breathe throughout the process. But I think I didn't realize how burnt out I was. Like, you know what I'm saying? So just giving yourself time to like really recover from burnt out and like doing the inner work because it's a lot. It is. So yeah, I think that was just my main thing, like knowing that like even when I feel like, oh, I can go back to my binder and flip and look at my letter to myself and just kind of say like, okay, well, you did that. And like look at all my different modules and just kind of have done my checkoff list and just kind of go from there. It kind of gives me that like reassurance. So it's been good.
So let's Oop, hold on, what I do? Let me mute myself. Let me mute you, and then I'll talk. So I want you to tell me about the journey of you getting a job offer. Like, how did the course prepare you? And because what I'm hearing is you really do spend time with your mind because the way that you're just like, oh, it just sounds like it was non-negotiable. It's, oh, I'm just doing it. It's not even like I'm not. It's like, how am I going to do this the most efficient way? And I feel it's because your mindset was there. It was just like, okay, let me just absorb this strategy. So like Tell me about how you were able like, that journey of getting your job offer from the application process to the interview process, like, walk us through that, so that way we can kind of hear and maybe the difference between that process and getting hired as a teacher.
Yeah, so obviously, I'll start with the teacher one first. So with the teacher one, I mean, it's just pretty straightforward. You know, you go in the interview, they ask you a few questions. And then especially being like a new teacher, like I said, I've always come in with very bright ideas and like wanted to help and, volunteer for whatever. So I think like that was just kind of easy. Like, oh, okay, she could teach science. Good. Like we got to get science teacher. It's a tested area. Like she knows what she's talking about. We'll be fine. So I think I would say when it comes to teacher interviews, like they're pretty just straightforward. I mean, they're dying to have teachers, so you're 9 times out of 10 gonna be hired. So unless you just have something crazy going on. But so that's that. But far as this process, like I said, I started in February. In my head, mentally, I was like, okay, I've been seeing a lot of people leaving the classroom. It's taking them 6 months to a year to land a job. So I was like, in my mind, I was like, okay, if I can have something by August, like in my mind, I was like, I still want to be able to leave by the next school year, but I was like, I've started late with the ball, rolling the ball, essentially. So when I started the process, I had in my mind, okay, as long as I land a job by August, obviously I wasn't gonna like put in a 2 weeks or anything. I wanted to play it very smart because you just never know. Life happens, and I didn't want to be like without a job. Obviously, like I still got to provide for me and my child. So February, bought your course, started doing the course, kinda working through it. March, I kinda started applying. By the end of March by the end of March, I got my first interview with the company. I started interviewing with them. I went through 4 4 rounds. I ended up having to go, do, like, a presentation for them, so I did a presentation, and I did that with, like, the manager, and she was just like, "Oh my god, like, this is one of the best presentations we've ever seen," like, just kinda, like, hooting and holler about the whole thing, and I was like, and she was like, "This, like, comes very easily to you, like, you're very easy to talk to and just bubbly personality," like, giving me all my credits and stuff, and, they got back to me and then they were like, "We did pick somebody over you, just because they had more experience, but like you're a great candidate, like all the things." And I was like, "Okay, that's fine." And I'm not gonna say it hurt my feelings, essentially just because I was just kind of like, if it's not for me, like it's not for me. I'm not gonna push anything that's not for me. So kind of just kept working on the inner work, just like trying to fix my burnout because I knew like we were coming to the end of school. So then we get to around April and they reached back out to me and they were like, "Hey, we just kind of want to reach out again, see if you were still interested. We're opening up a new position. We think you would be great for it." So they reached out to me. And I was like, "Yeah, of course I would still be interested in interviewing." And then they were like, "You would just have to meet with the VP or vice president, and that would be it because you already know everything else." So I met with the VP. We had a great conversation. He loved me. We meshed over sports because I'm a sports girl. So it was just very easy to talk to. And then like from there, he was like, "I don't want our team to continue. Like if you're essentially not a part of the team, essentially." So I didn't hear from them though after that interview. And then, like I said, my kids had crossover on the 22nd. And then I get back to my classroom and I got a call and I got offered the job. So I went through a total of 5 rounds and it was way quicker than I would have expected. Obviously, like I said, I started applying in February and I landed it at the end of May. So it was a blessing, definitely God's timing, I think. And I think him knowing me as the person I am. I'm the type of person I like to finish stuff out. So I think just knowing like I got to finish out another full year and then walk into something else, it kind of made it easier for me as a person. So, um, but yeah, so that's kind of just the gist of that. Like I said, I went through a total of 5 interviews. The first one was just kind of like a get to know me. The second one, I was just kind of they were asking me some questions. I think even like some of the questions they asked, I can't recall the exact questions, but I do feel like the DIY prep me for that. Like I wasn't kind of like, oh, like I don't even know what they're gonna ask. Like I kind of have insight. So it's more so of like practicing storylines, just making sure I know stories and just kind of, you know, relaying those to them. And then that was it from there.
Oh my gosh, this is huge. So, like, this is what I love. So a couple things that came up. So number one, the fact that they're giving you the kudos not just for like yes, your brilliance in your presentation, but like it was like your personality. I feel like that's one big thing that educators are not used to uh doing it in the interview. Like I feel like with education, like you said, in the nicest way possible, you can just stick your like I did that in one episode. I was being so extra. I'm like, if you just stick your leg out and be like, I want a job as a teacher, they're going to hire you. They're gonna like it's a formality as a former admin I was hiring. Like if you had teaching experience, it was not a matter of are we gonna hire her? It's like, can she start tomorrow? Like before she changed her mind, before the other schools get her. So like and it doesn't mean that y'all are not brilliant. It just means like teachers, like there's always gonna be like there's a million jobs and there's not a lot of people lining up. So you are a hot commodity. When it comes to corporate, you are also a hot commodity, but the work is you articulating it. Like it needs to be like and it's kind of what I spoke to. You need to know the role that you are doing. And it sounds like you were like a researcher. You're like, okay, because I know in the training I have the intro, but it gives you are a researcher. So you're like, okay, let me go even deeper. Because enterprise, you're working with like the bigger fish accounts. So it's a different more skill. But it sounds like you're like, okay, I know how to do this job. Like it sounds like even though your goal was getting a job offer, your goal was, oh, let me show them exactly how I can do this role. And it was a testament. So like they heard you, like they literally heard okay, this girl did her research. This girl has a bubbly personality. Ooh, I was sorry, it was lightning. That was a big old lightning. I'm sorry, y'all. That was a big old lightning. They trying to stop me from making teachers rich. It's okay. I'm still gonna keep talking, universe, or whoever is hating. Sorry, I'm extra. But they remembered you enough where it's like, okay, we're going to someone else, but they circled the block. They're like, oh, where is Caylin at? Like that energy is what's going to get you hired. You cannot come in like I have a bachelor's degree in elementary and I taught science and I did it's like, no, I am ready to be able to implement technology at your company. This is exactly how I would do it in three different colors. In that presentation, what Caitlin's referring to. So in the corporate process, there's going to be multiple rounds of interviews. Some people get defeated, like, oh my gosh, that's so much. But it's like they are investing big bucks in you. So they want to know it is a risk for them to hire someone and then they don't know how to do the job. So like you in order for you to get hired, you gotta come showing that you are the non-negotiable candidate. And that's a testament of them circling the block. So tell us about life now. Like you're a month in, you're a corporate girly, you're in a big girl job. Tell us how life has been for you outside of the classroom.
Yeah, so my mornings are very slow, which I love, like a slow morning, just being able to wake up, yeah, take my time, just being able to spend more time with my child. Obviously, that was my biggest thing, but it's I will say, and this is how I knew I was burnt out when I first started. Now I'm kind of like not so burnt out, I would say, but like was still kind of in that teacher mindset of like I should be doing more. Like what else am I? Because I would knock everything else, and I'm like, okay, what else am I supposed to? And they're like, well, that's all you need to be doing for right now. And I'm just like, okay, but like you have to get in the mindset of like just getting adapted to the corporate life, I guess they'll say. And I'm not going to say that it's easy by any means, but it's just like learning those different skills. Or like I said, we just have a lot of transferable skills. So a lot of stuff, I think as I'm talking to my colleagues, they're like, yeah, I'm like, when time comes, this may be a little difficult. And, and I'm making note of it. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll put a star by that. But it's like, as they're showing me, I'm just kind of like, oh, I've done that. Like, I've done that. And I think it's just because, like, as a teacher, you have to do so many things. Like, we're constantly figuring out stuff, multitasking, this spreadsheet, that, like, just doing all the things. So I think now that I'm visually seeing what my job entails and like what I'll be doing every day, I'm just kind of like, oh, okay, like I'm good. Like some stuff, of course, I might have questions about where I like, okay, I don't grasp that concept yet, but for the most part, I'm I'm at a very peaceful state right now, and that's what I love. And I'll just say, like I said, been able to spend more time on like my personal stuff too, like outside of like obviously my job, and just soaking it in. Like I said, it's just so peaceful being able to go to the bathroom whenever I want, not having to like it's just like kind of like the little things, not having to like worry about taking off work to take my child to an appointment. Like my job is amazing. Um, and I can just kind of incorporate that in my everyday life. Like, okay, I just block off this time and I go. Like no one's asking, no one's It's like just do your job, keep performing, and like everything's okay.
So, what do you say to the teacher girly? So you are in customer success, enterprise customer success. So for the girlies who are like, that sounds like you're saying it was what we already do. Like, what do you say for those who just feel like, oh, I don't know if I'm qualified to do this. I don't know. Like, what do you want to say to them?
Um, do it scared. Just literally do it scared. Main thing is like write out the plan, make it simple, start doing your research. Um, kind of do affirmations with yourself, whatever you need to do to kind of like calm yourself before walking into the next stage. But I think the main thing would be like, I always ask myself, or I even ask my students, I'm like, a lot of the things you're doing right now, like this test doesn't matter right now. Like, obviously, like, you don't care about the ACAT right now, but, like, you're taking this for your future self. So I always have to ask myself, like, am I doing this for current K or is this, like, what future K wants? So, like, that's what a big thing for me is just kinda always reflecting of, like, how I see myself in the future, and it's always like, "Okay, the future her will be doing that, so that means you gotta be doing it right now." So I think just being very open and vulnerable with yourself, um, and just having those hard conversations with yourself. True enough, it's not gonna be easy. I felt the same way going through 5 interviews. I was like, "Okay, this is a lot." And it was a lot, but also too, it's like, but I'm investing into something that I want. Like, I want the freedom. So I think that was my main thing, and now just being able to, like, freely do my work in my own space, knock out my task, be able to do stuff with my daughter when I want. It's just like the amount of freedom I have now to still obviously provide and still also work on my own businesses as well as be a mother is like very big for me right now.
So what you're describing is what a different way for the infinite game. There's a book called The Infinite Game. So like sometime and I love that you did it. So it's like in one of the activities. So the activity that Kaylin's referring to, if you join the Pretty Rich Teacher Times, my email online newspaper, I've rebranded it. It's so cute, Pretty Rich Teacher Time now. But when you join, you get to get that free heal trainings. I just believe healing is the way you make more money. So like I include that training for free to for you to just clear your mind and then be able to make a decision. Like I said, if you're emotions are high and like to your point, a lot of educators don't even realize how burnt out they are. So y'all, that is available when you join the list. That's one thing. Um, and two, when it comes to going into corporate, like the things are so much easier. You said it, we do so many things. Like I have to coach all my clients. Like y'all need to come into that job at 50%. Don't be trying to do all these extra things. Like allow yourself to have that time. Allow yourself to be free. And then to your point, this is more than just a resume or an interview to practice for. Like the infinite game is you now have slow mornings. The infinite game is you're able, and I don't know if you're most corporate companies, you can block out, pick up, drop off, take your child, pick them up, go to the doctor's appointment in the middle of the day, do whatever. Like you have that freedom. So the infinite game is freedom. We don't want like these challenges, like you said, like a test. These are mini battles for the infinite game. And if you think about it on a bigger scale of like, oh, this is why I'm doing this, like it makes the challenges, the battles seem a little smaller, is what I'm thinking. Okay. So I'm gonna ask you to say, I'm gonna have three more questions. One, I'm gonna give you just the opportunity of like whatever you want to say. I love that you also mentioned that being able to see another woman of color, a black woman doing this, of like the reason why I actually was in one of my companies, I had the opportunity of seeing a higher level CEO look like me. And she's the one who like gave me an opportunity, gave me the top of the mark salary, and gave me that mentorship for that I can now do the same role now. And even in this position. Um, so what advice do you have for the girls? I always say every time I bring a client on, somebody else is inspired. So you're going to inspire at least one person, not just a single mom, but anyone who can resonate with the things that you were saying, like your mindset, your faith. What advice or what do you want to say to the girlies who are in this space of I really want everything they're saying, but maybe they're scared, maybe they're doubtful, and you've been touching on it, but like, what do you want to directly say to them?
Yeah, I think my biggest thing is, and I'm speaking from the aspect of being a single mother, and I think that's I always speak to single mothers because I think sometimes like we're our own people within. I think when you can resonate to somebody else in your story. Kind of makes sense. I think one of the main things that also sold me on this program, not only was it DIY, but also too that I could do like payment plans and I wasn't feeling like I was losing out on taking money off the table for my child. So like I still felt like I was investing in myself and like she gives you options to where you can really invest in yourself and still be doing something for yourself, but also making sure your household is good too. So I will say like for anybody that's just kind of like out there and like hesitant, like do it scared. I'm telling you, just do it scared. And even like the process may take a while, like for you to land a job or whatever the case may be. But like at the end of the day, like it's helping your mental overall is my main thing. But also too, it's like you're learning skills that are really gonna help you in corporate. Like, when I say I walked in, I was just kinda like, "Oh, this." I'm not gonna say it was a breeze. Like I said, it was a deep process, but, like, everyone that I talked to, they had nothing but good things to say about myself. Honestly, yes, I have a big personality, but also too just like, "Oh, when you hit this," and just learning, like, different words and, like, how to tie it into what we already do, like, like just high risk and training and like all the things, like it all makes sense of all the stuff that we do now. It's just different lingo. So I think just really sitting down with yourself, having an open conversation with yourself of like, do you see yourself in the classroom for the next 5 years? Like, do you see that? Like, I I could not. It was to the point where like I was just so mentally over it. Like I said, I took off more this year than I have in the 6 year that I've been teaching. And everybody noticed from my colleagues to my admins to my students. Like my students were like, girl, like, what's up with you? And I was like, my mental health is what's up. And they were like, okay, we understand because you're big on mental health. Like my kids knew me, my students knew me. So all they could do is respect it. And like as I posted my journey and just kind of like did my behind the scenes because I kind of posted the journey for myself. I would always videotape and then like I watched back once I did get my job and it was just like a series of manifestation like with God. And I was like posting that on my TikTok and like all my students were in the comments like, yeah, Miss Davis, go Miss Davis, congrats, like all the things. So the kids will understand. Like they will understand. It's not like you lose those relationships. And I think that was my biggest thing. Like, oh, I don't want to leave my kids. But at the end of the day, I was like thinking from an aspect of like, would I want my students to sit somewhere they're not happy? Like, would I want them to do that? So, um, that would be kind of my last little kudos advice, I guess.
That okay. So, one thing, the last 2 questions I asked all my, guests on here, 2 questions. What does Caylin still want to learn from the world? What do you wanna learn from the world? And what can the world learn from Caylin?
Okay. What do I want to learn from the world? I think to um be still and more still in the moments, I think. I'm a very, like, moved by the pace person, like, just everything in time. I think just I've learned to take stuff slower now, kinda just really soak in the moment, because like I said, when I woke up that day and realized, like, gosh, in 8 years, my child's gonna be driving, I think it kinda hit me then, like, I need to soak in the time that I do have left before we get to that point, and then what can the world learn from me? Um, like I said, I'm very big on like when you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, then you'll be successful. Like that's my motto. That's what I live by. So it's like if I want it as bad as I want my next breath, then I gotta get after it because I want to be here. I want to be breathing. So I think just really keeping God first and everything. Um and just believing in yourself, being your biggest cheerleaders because sometimes people aren't going to cheer for you in the background. Sometimes you got to cheer for yourself. So I think learning to be your biggest cheerleader and just keeping God first and just investing in yourself. And yeah.
Yes. Okay. I am so happy that we had this conversation.
Yay.
Lives are being changed right now. I always believe I'm in Florida, girl. It's raining every other day here. But whenever it rains, I'm like, God is crying and happy tears. So I feel like definitely for the single moms. I love that you're saying, okay, no, I am going to talk to the single moms. I feel like the single moms are number one superheroes. Like I just feel like you all are superheroes. I consider myself a single mom, but I'm the baby. It's just me by myself. It's me by myself. No, but seriously, being able to take care of a life and nurture that life, and what I love about single moms is y'all like I feel like they can to go two different ways. And I want to take the powered, empowered route. It could be, and I mean it's the most loving way possible. It could be an easy story of sad, like, oh, I'm a single mom. It's just me and my kids, and I'm nothing. Or it's me and my kids, so we got work to do.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard, it's
Yeah.
gonna feel challenging, but I believe that everything happens for a reason. You were meant to be her mom for a reason. She's gonna go on and do amazing, powerful things because you're doing amazing,
Yeah.
powerful. I'm about to cry, but
Yeah,
I can't.
and I love I think it's so funny because like, I always listen to you in the car, like, I always listen to my podcast in the car, and she always, like, listens, she's like, "Oh, and that's a teacher that didn't wanna be in the classroom anymore, and da 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 da." So then the other day, we were driving, and I was like, "Yeah," and we were going to the hair store to, get her something because I was about to wash her hair, and then she was like, "Oh, and there's your friend again, talking on the podcast," and I said, "Yeah." I said, "Guess what?" And she said, "What?" I said, "Mommy's gonna be on her podcast," and she was like, "What?" I was like, "Yes, girl." I said, "So we'll have to listen to it together." So yeah, she's my biggest cheerleader. So she was super excited to know that I was going to be on the podcast with my teacher friend. So I said, "Yes, I will be on the podcast." But yeah, I definitely speak to those moms, even like I said, when it comes to like businesses. I think sometimes, like, as a single mom, we just feel like we can't do it all, but we can. And like I said, I started a business while in the classroom and I could barely tend to it. But now, like being outside the classroom, I just have more time to tend to all the things. Just do it scared. That's all I can say. Do it scared.
Love that. Like, couple things, like, one, we gotta keep staying competition because like, that is my next thing, not just teachers in tech, we need more teachers in entrepreneurship. There are so
Yeah.
teachers are brilliant entrepreneurs, brilliant. That's
Yes.
one thing. But I want you to shout out your daughter, like, if she's listening to this, not only is mom on the podcast, but go ahead and shout her out so that she can hear, and what's her name?
August rain. August. My daughter's name is
August
August.
Rain. You're a celebrity, August Rain. There are gonna be hundreds of thousands of people watching this episode.
Yes.
Okay, we'll get to this episode, so I'll let you do a shout out to her.
Yes, so mommy is on the podcast. So we're probably in the car listening to it by now. So I just want you to know that we are out of the classroom and we made it to the other side. And I couldn't have done it without you. So mommy loves you, August.
So adorable. August, you have the best mom ever, and I can't wait to hear about all the things that August Rain is going to get into. To this giving, she's gonna be also pretty and rich. She's giving pretty and
Right,
rich.
for sure.
Especially done listening to podcasts, people who listen to podcasts are actually a lot like richer. So people, I don't do that, but people who listen to podcasts are richer. So she's already rich.
Wow.
Thank you, Kaylin, for blessing
Thank
us on this
you.
podcast. Many lives are changing. So if you are a single mom listening to this, get your kid listening to the podcast too, and we can bring them on. Okay.
Right.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much, Kaylin.
Thank you.